If I could get your attention, I'd like to move on to the next part of our program. I'm glad to see so many people doing exactly as Michael said, which is table hopping. Thank you. Good afternoon, I'm Shelley Dropkin. I'm the chairman of the board of the New York Lawyers for the Public Interest. Thank you. On behalf of the board, I'd like to welcome you all to today's lunch, honoring Brackett Denniston and Evan Chesler. I want to extend my thanks on behalf of the board and the staff to Brackett and Denniston for serving as the honorees for today's event. 2010 was a year of great accomplishment for the New York Lawyers. We were honored to be named a winner in the 2010 New York Times Company Nonprofit Excellence Awards, which recognizes management excellence among New York's large and diverse nonprofit community. This year, New York Lawyers turned the lens inward to update our mission statement. Not a simple task, but 74 words later, we were there. Just imagine what it took to get 54 lawyers to agree on 74 words. In finding the right words to define New York Lawyers' mission, what reverberated through my head over and over was, they just do what's right. What's right is ensuring that the non-English speaking members of our communities get translation services at pharmacies and hospitals so they can take their medications properly. What is right is ensuring that the children in our city's schools don't ingest deadly PCBs while learning to read and write. What is right is ensuring that city schools aren't built on land contaminated with toxic chemicals. What is right is finding appropriate living situations for people with disabilities who have been warehoused in adult homes and forgotten. What is right is ensuring that children with disabilities receive an appropriate education. What is right is giving a voice to those who may not be heard. By doing what is right, they inspire the rest of us. I'm inspired too by the good works and generosity of the nearly 1,000 people who are here today to pay tribute to our two exceptional honorees and to support the work of this worthy organization. You are partners in the legal community who give so generously of your time and your skills by joining us in challenging injustice in our city. You are colleagues and friends who give so generously of your resources to ensure that New York Lawyers can continue its community lawyering efforts. You are an inspiration, and I thank you. It is at special events like these that we have the opportunity to pay tribute to our past, celebrate the achievements of the present, and look boldly to our future. In a little while, we'll be hearing from our honorees. I note that they will be introduced to you by two people who have played an important part in New York Lawyers' history. Fritz Schwartz was a founding board member of New York Lawyers. We were actually arguing about how many of them there were, but it's part of the group of visionary lawyers who dreamed up the idea of an organization that would connect lawyers in New York City with those in our community in need of legal representation, giving birth to what is now the very successful Pro Bono Clearinghouse. Mary Jo White, who was our honoree in 2003, helped us to raise the crucial funds that allow New York lawyers to serve the underrepresented in New York every day. The film you just saw about the work of New York lawyers on the school siting project is a fine example of how the community lawyering approach works. Our talented, dedicated staff engage with communities, learn about their issues, provide them with the tools to advocate for themselves, lobby our legislators and representatives to pass laws to bring about change, and when necessary, use the courts to right wrongs. This is our present. Can I ask the staff of the New York Lawyers to stand and be recognized? Today I want to talk to you about our future. In 2007, the board launched a major fundraising campaign, the Partnering for Justice campaign, to expand the programmatic work of New York lawyers, strengthen the pro bono clearinghouse, and ensure the organization's long-term fiscal health. With the generous support of the firms and colleagues listed in the program insert, we are halfway toward our goal. But to get the rest of the way there, we need your help. If you agree that it is critical to continue the important work of New York Lawyers for the Public Interest, to ensure that we live in a fair and just city, please consider making a contribution to this important campaign. I would now like to introduce Mary Jo White, who will be introducing Brackett Denniston. Mary Jo has been chair of the litigation department at Debevoise and Plimpton since 2002. She served, I don't have to tell you this, she served as U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of New York from 1993 to 2002, the only woman to ever hold that position. During her term, she oversaw prosecutions of John Gotti and the terrorists responsible for the 1993 World Trade Center bombing, and was widely known as the preeminent prosecutor of international terrorism. In addition to being honored by New York lawyers in 2003, she's been honored many times for her professional accomplishments and dedication to public service, including the Sandra Day O'Connor Award for Distinction in Public Service, the Human Relations Award given by the Anti-Defamation League Lawyers Division, the Women of Power and Influence Award given by the National Organization of Women, and the Outstanding Women of the Bar Award given by the New York County Lawyers Association. Now in private practice, Mary Jo continues her commitment to public service by serving since June of 2010 as the monitor overseeing the city's efforts to increase the number of minority firefighters in response to a long-running discrimination lawsuit. Please welcome Mary Jo White.
Thank you very much. I think I was just described as the past, but I'll overlook that. But thank you very much. This is a great day for the New York Lawyers for the Public Interest. I mean, just look around you, and I can't imagine two more superb honorees than Brackett Denniston and Evan Chesler. You both do us all very proud. It is my personal privilege to introduce and present the Law and Society Award to Brackett Denniston. This presentation is all the more special because Brackett's wife, Kathy, is here to help honor him. Kathy, stand if you would. I know you'll kill me for it, but let's acknowledge Kathy. Thank you for being here. As I think probably everyone in this room knows, Brackett is Senior Vice President and General Counsel of GE, one of the largest and probably most influential company in the world. Prior to joining GE in 1996, Brackett had a very successful career in the private sector at the Goodwin Procter law firm in Boston. He also served with great distinction in the public sector as chief legal counsel to Massachusetts Governor William Weld and as a federal prosecutor and chief of the major frauds unit in the Boston United States Attorney's Office, where Brackett was responsible for the prosecution of white-collar crimes. Brackett graduated summa cum laude from Kenyon College and earned his law degree from the Harvard Law School, where he was an editor of the Law Review. After graduation from Harvard, Brackett served as a law clerk to the Honorable Herbert Choi of the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals. Those are, as they say, the basic facts. But Brackett Denniston, the person, and Brackett Denniston, the lawyer and counselor in day-to-day action, are even more impressive than his very impressive resume. The only chink that I have found, and it is huge, frankly, is that he is a rabid Boston Red Sox fan. Now, to be perfectly clear, as someone once said, I did not know of this flaw when I agreed to introduce Brackett. This has actually happened to me once before when I gave an award to Bob Fisk, who is here tonight as well, who is also a rabid Boston Red Sox fan. So what follows is what I thought about and wrote about Brackett before I learned of this dark side. But seriously, as all of you know who've had any contact at all with Brackett, as a lawyer, he is brilliant, creative, and high-minded. He is very much a do-the-right-thing person in absolutely everything he does, professionally, personally, and for his community, broadly defined. He speaks out and leads by example. Human rights, the rule of law, and a lawyer's obligation to give of their time and talents are all high and abiding priorities for Brackett, and they are priorities that Brackett and GE turn into action. One stark example of Brackett's commitment to pro bono and the rule of law, which many of us should recall, and frankly every one of us should always remember, occurred back in 2007 when Brackett said no to a high government official urging major companies to move work away from those law firms with lawyers who provided their services pro bono to Guantanamo detainees. Brackett simply said no. He said, pro bono service and the rule of law are great traditions at GE, and we have no intention of changing relationships with firms based on pro bono efforts. Simple, to the point, and knowing Brackett, he would say, of course I said that, but seldom has the word no been more important to hear, and from such an influential source. Thank you, Brackett. And this wasn't an isolated incident. It was reflective of Brackett's and GE's deep commitment to pro bono, the rule of law, and the right thing to do. GE helped found the Pro Bono Partnership over a decade ago. The Pro Bono Partnership, as most of us know, is uniquely focused on providing pro bono opportunities for in-house lawyers who dedicate themselves to helping nonprofit organizations like the United Way, Centers for the Disabled, Centers for Battered Women, shelters, and food banks. Brackett is a very active leader of the Pro Bono Partnership and its vital contributions to the public interest. Brackett also serves on the Corporate Pro Bono Advisory Board of the Pro Bono Institute. Under Brackett's leadership, GE became a charter signatory to the Pro Bono Institute's corporate challenge, requiring a commitment that at least 50% of the legal staff of a company undertake pro bono service every single year. It's not surprising, I guess, that Brackett and GE have again led the way on this. And Brackett is constantly seeking of new ways and thinking of new ways to expand pro bono service and commitment by all of GE's lawyers. More than 30% of GE's lawyers, over 1,100 lawyers or approximately, actually work outside of the United States. And pursuing Brackett's vision, GE has actively partnered with other global companies, international law firms, and pro bono NGOs like Appleseed, Dress for Success, the Public Interest Institute, to offer pro bono opportunities to GE lawyers across Europe, Asia, and South America. And as a result, many in need around the globe have received critical legal services and other kinds of help and assistance volunteered by GE employees. For Brackett, the needs for and responsibilities of pro bono service obviously don't stop at the US borders. Brackett Denniston is passionate in his belief that those less fortunate deserve to be given legal representation to the best of our abilities as lawyers wherever we may work. He talks the talk, he walks the walk, and today we recognize him for his service and dedication. So Brackett, it is now my honor on behalf of the New York Lawyers for the Public Interest to present you the 2011 Law and Society Award, as the inscription reads, in honor of your steadfast commitment to the pursuit of justice. Congratulations.
Well, first of all, Mary Jo, really thank you for an introduction that was way more than I deserved, except for that shot about the Red Sox. It was way more than I deserved. And coming, as it does, from one of the best lawyers in America, and Mary Jo is one of the best lawyers in America, it is humbling. It is very humbling. Now, you know, I'm indebted to this next fact that I'm about to tell you to Michael Rothenberg. Now, Michael did not write my jokes, fortunately. But now that you know about my passion for the Red Sox, you ought to know that the Waldorf is where the Red Sox stay. So it's probably the one safe place in New York for me and for the Red Sox. You know, but seriously, this award is an enormous honor for me personally, and more importantly, for all the lawyers at GE. First, it's a great honor because of the organization that it comes from, the New York Lawyers for the Public Interest. It is a giant in so many ways that you have heard described to you today. Founded 35 years ago by some of the great lawyers of our profession, including one who will shortly speak to you. Lawyers who shared a commitment to public service, and just as importantly, a shared vision of what it means to be a complete lawyer and a professional. A vision of lawyers that, as part of the profession and not just as part of their job for wages, had a duty and a passion for equal justice for rich and poor alike. I get a fair number of invitations for this kind of thing. I often say I'm a piñata, and I'm mindful that I am a piñata when I'm at this kind of event. I am a representative of somebody else and some other organization, and that is GE Legal. And I have to turn down a fair number of those invitations. But the invitation that I got for this event created no such dilemma, believe me. It plays such a crucial role in fostering pro bono work at scores of law firms in New York City to help nonprofits and community organizations deal with tough problems. And has the video reflected, it has a gifted, I would say an extraordinarily gifted staff that uses all of the tools of advocacy, something that we teach at GE, and that those of you who are from such good law firms as you are teach to your lawyers. From courts to legislative and regulatory action, all of which is to achieve the rightful aims of their clients. You know, as part of this process, Evan and I both had breakfast with the staff, and we saw what an amazing array of issues they tackled and how creatively, and I would use the word intensely, with double emphasis on the intensely, they did this. As Evan said to me when we were chatting before lunch, they just blew us away. You would all be very proud of this dedicated group of professionals. And so I am indeed honored to be standing here accepting this award from that organization. I'm proud, too, to be accepting this on behalf of GE and its lawyers. We have, as Mary Jo said, a strong tradition of public service and pro bono service in particular, and it's a little harder to do in a company because the lawyers are spread out all over the place. They worry about insurance, they worry about bar membership. Many of them are not litigators, but that kind of an obstacle did not slow us down and will not slow us down. We've long partnered, as Mary Jo said, with the Pro Bono Partnership, which, like New York PLI, is an organization that matches lawyers with community organizations that need help. In this case, in Westchester County, in Connecticut, and other places in America. In addition to that, which was an important starting place for us as a foundation, we've built on that in the last several years by some of the things that you heard Mary Jo describe. An initiative we undertook to expand our efforts. We did it in what we call the GE way. We asked lawyers, volunteers, to serve as leaders in each of their businesses for pro bono, and to lead those efforts globally as well as in the United States. We set goals for them. We set tough goals. We started with that 50% goal of participation, which we thought was going to be very difficult to attain, and we particularly thought it was going to be difficult to attain outside the United States, and we've long since surpassed it. It is a wonderful set of results that my colleagues produced. Things like a project in Mexico to enroll undocumented children, making them eligible for public benefits, and that's a big problem in Mexico. Projects in the United States to represent political refugees to prevent their deportation and persecution to their native countries. Or projects in New York City, Washington, Cincinnati, and Virginia, among many others, representing the unemployed in unemployment claims cases, disabled public housing residents, those seeking access to health care, and in many, many other ways. This is the true power and the true heart of GE Legal. And so I am indeed very proud to be standing here before you today to accept this wonderful award on behalf, and I emphasize on behalf, of my big-hearted colleagues at GE. I want to thank them, and I also want to thank you, who took a big piece of your day to come out here and share this celebration with New York PLI. New York PLI, as I like to add and reemphasize in closing, which does so much for so many underprivileged people in New York. Thank you all for this honor, and thank you all for being here today.
I'd now like to introduce Fritz Schwartz, who will be introducing Evan Chesler. Fritz's career has been an enviable blend of private practice, government service, and nonprofit advocacy. He is chief counsel of the Brennan Center for Justice at the NYU School of Law, which he joined full-time in 2002, and is a litigator at Cravath, Swaine & Moore, where he became a partner in 1969. Fritz served as corporation counsel of New York City from 1982 to 1986, and in 1989, he served as chair of the New York City Charter Revision Commission that extensively revised the city's charter. The charter's new fair share provisions created an unprecedented level of transparency, requiring city agencies to publicly announce all city-owned facilities proposed to be sited, expanded, reduced, or closed. This unprecedented level of transparency gave overburdened communities additional tools and a process and platform from which to push back. Responding to the demand on the part of the communities to engage in the process led New York lawyers to create its environmental justice program. Fritz's nonprofit board service includes his role as a founding board member of the New York Lawyers, his chairmanship on the board of Atlantic Philanthropies. He's a board member and former chair of NRDC and the Vera Institute of Justice, and he's on the board of the Fund for the City of New York. In 2009, he won the New York State Bar Association's Gold Medal for distinguished service in the law. Please welcome Fritz Schwartz.
So thanks, Shelley. We had, in founding the New York Lawyers for the Public Interest, there were 2 Cravath people on the group of 7 or 8. So we had a nice relationship at the start and continue to have a nice relationship, particularly with the award going to Evan today. Evan Chesler is a sensationally good litigator. One of his clients who's sitting next to him, I was going up and down the staircase at Cravath, and I said, Jeff, Evan was coming down, I said, Jeff, this is the best litigator at Cravath, and so Jeff retained him, and he's continued to have him. Evan is a sensational litigator. He started at Cravath in the summer. I was lucky enough to have him working for me, and we managed to win over the hostile witness we were deposing, the chairman of Sperry Rand, when we were representing IBM, by marking a Chinese fortune cookie slip. Once we did it and we showed it to the Sperry witness, he was a piece of cake for us thereafter. So Evan has been a leader at Cravath in substantively, and he's now the presiding partner of the firm. Evan has a strong, powerful interest in community service and pro bono. He's done an enormous amount himself, and under his leadership, the firm has continued to do more and more. Winning, for example, a right for homeless people in New York under the state constitution, a right to shelter. Terrific work done in civil rights in Birmingham, Alabama. Evan personally is a great leader at NYU. He teaches, he's on the board. And as a Harvard person in working at the Brennan Center, which is closely allied with NYU Law School, I've become a real admirer of that school. And Evan is a big part in keeping that school vibrant and in working to help the intellectual quality and the strength, financial strength of the institution. Now, I want to finish my short, as I was told it should be by Mike, introduction of Evan by telling a story that starts with Leonard Hand and ends with Evan Chesler. So, the start. I was a young person clerking in the Second Circuit, and I'd gotten to know Judge Hand very well. He was in the last year of his life, and I had an offer to go to work at Cravath, but also had an offer to go to work for a program that sent people to Africa working for the newly independent nation, in my case, the newly independent nation of Cravath. Not of Cravath, it's not a nation. I mean, yes. The newly independent nation of Nigeria. So a number of highly distinguished New York lawyers communicated with me and said, Fritz, you shouldn't spend a year and a half in Nigeria. If you do that, you'll never become a real lawyer. So I went across the hall to Judge Hand and asked him what he thought about that advice. Judge, I've been told by these distinguished lawyers you'll never become a real lawyer if you go to work in Nigeria. So he looked at me, great bushy eyebrows, and he said, sounds like pure bullshit to me. And it was, because you can be a real lawyer, and that's how I want to finish about Evan, because Evan is a real lawyer. And Brackett used the term complete lawyer. It's the same thing as my use of the term real lawyer, because there are lots of good lawyers, but there aren't enough complete and real lawyers. I'm sure everybody in this room is both good, complete, and real. But I think what it takes to be a real lawyer, and more than a good lawyer, is that you understand that your practice is more than excellence, more than service to your clients who may be establishment figures, but also includes work for the poor, work for the vulnerable, work for the people who need help. And Evan, at his whole life at Cravath and in his job as presiding partner, has been, in that sense of the word, a real lawyer. So Evan Chesler. And Evan, when you come up, I'm going to give you something. Apart from the new nation. So, the award goes to Evan in honor of your deep commitment to pro bono.
Well, on behalf of all the citizens of the Cravath Nation, I want to thank you. Thank you very much, Fritzy. My mother, who is here today, believed every word of that, and I very much appreciate it. I want to thank the New York lawyers for the public interest for this honor, and I want to congratulate Brackett Denniston, my friend, for this worthy recognition for him and the wonderful people at General Electric. I know I am all that's standing between you and the exit sign, so I will be very brief. I've been to lunches like this before. We in this room are the lucky ones. We have voices. When we speak, we are heard, and people listen to us. We tend to think that the people who don't have voices are the people in the streets of Cairo and Tunis and Tehran, and that's true. But there are so many people right here in our hometown who live among us and have no voice. By the way, I don't want to create a competition between or among co-honorees, but I have to say this, and you don't have to applaud for this, but I just want Brackett to hear this. My first job was selling hot dogs in Yankee Stadium. There was this guy, Roger Maris, who used to stand right in front of me. He didn't know he was standing in front of me because he didn't know who I was, but he was right in front of me, and I was dutifully selling hot dogs in Yankee Stadium. In any event, and seriously, there are so many people here in this city who don't have a voice. And as Americans, we are so fortunate that we have a legal system that provides a platform from which we can all be heard, and certainly we as lawyers can be and are heard. We have organizations like the New York Lawyers, the Public Interest, who speak for those who cannot speak for themselves. And we have people like all of you here today who put your mouth where your money is so that others can be heard. So I'm honored, very honored to be honored. I am humbled that so many of you have taken time out of your busy day to be here. And I am gratified that by Brackett and I accepting this honor, we can do a little part for this very, very worthy organization. So thank you all for coming, and safe home. Thank you.
That's it. We'll see you next year. Thanks very much.